American belt tightening because of President Trump's tariffs, with hard-hit truckers taking another blow. Layoffs are beginning in the trucking industry as American ports are seeing a big drop in cargo ship arrivals, meaning less to haul across our country. News Nation's Nancy Wu is live for us in Southern California, speaking to those affected. So, Nancy, what are they telling you?
Well, Nicole, we're hearing words like bad and dire and even crisis. We're standing next to a bunch of truck chassis because they're parked and they're not in use. And look on the other side there. They're stacked up, and in this truck yard alone, there are about 100 chassis stacked up because they don't need them. They're typically out on the roadways. Like everyone else along America's massive supply chain, truckers expect things to go from bad to worse.
This yard costs us money, this equipment costs us money, our chassis cost us money, our employees cost us money, electricity costs us money, right? So after 6 months, I would say we would be in pretty dire situations. And that's just us. And there's hundreds of companies like us who would probably be most likely be in the same situation, if not worse.
For Height Logistics here in Long Beach, the situation is compounded by a very expensive company shift to a clean fleet. Over 20 big rig EVs with price tags of about $500,000 each. Due to far less freight to haul, the company started layoffs this week and cut all trucker shifts by half. There's word of similar tightening at other trucking companies and even some going out of business. The dire times triggered by the nosedive in freight traffic, specifically imports from China, nearly half of which are typically handled by the ports here in Southern California. Now, the outlook is grim for the rest of the year, with a drop of 20% in imports overall. But look at this, a monstrous dive of up to 80% of goods from China. Long before the trade war, California had moved to end the sale of gas-powered big rigs after 2035, but now the Trump administration is pumping the brakes on that as it pushes for more American manufacturing.
The industry that's been moving towards a zero-emission fleet at great expense, and now to have this dramatic drop in volumes here, it couldn't have come at a worse time, as we're carrying more debt load as an industry than we ever have before.
Even so, operators here are expressing faith and optimism about trade deals being reached soon, and that there will be benefit from the long-term effects of tariffs, but they are working to diversify operations in order to survive. Nicole?
Yeah, Nancy, I mean, we know obviously everything is connected here, so not just truckers, your consumers can also expect to feel the impact soon as well.
Oh, absolutely. This is going to trickle down throughout the economy across the country. I mean, think about just this company with half of their truckers on half shifts. I mean, those are families that are going to have to cut their budgets by half. And already we're seeing even fast food restaurants reporting less traffic in those McDonald's, Chipotle, less traffic. And the trickle-down effect for all consumers means, less stuff on the shelves. So that means less selection, higher prices, and the impact is expected to be seen in about 60 to 90 days. Nicole?
2 Ezra 6:22. And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown, and the full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. Koholo Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushai, Bahashim Akakodash, double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Shalom to the 144,000 men pushing this word this very hour. And shalom to the numerable 1/3. That consists of men, women, and children that have been blessed with the mark of the Dua, which is exempt from the judgment that is fast coming. I'm the brother Yazarayala from the GMS Dallas camp, coming back at you with another quick hit lesson. And I want to say shalom to the elder Mike Allah here in the Dallas camp. Woke up this morning, it's just a spirit, man. I got up, man, and just, I don't know, something in the spirit just didn't feel right. Each morning brothers get up and we greet one another, which is a beautiful thing. Put, Bible verses in and precepts and different findings and stuff that we find just to edify each other as we get up and start our day. And it was just, Spirit hit me, man. Just something really bad is getting ready to happen. So I put that on the chat. I just feel in the air through the Spirit, something's really bad is going to happen. Brothers, stay prayed up for one another, so forth and so on. And no sooner than I said that, the brother Mike Allen, the brother Tazima, it was all like simultaneously at the same time, start putting in these videos. One of the videos you see here I actually got from the brother Mike Allah, the elder Mike Allah, the water brother, for the edification and the lesson. So I'm just going to do a land back or a touchback on his lesson. So I just wanted to bring that out so as you can see it's happening. All right, they're talking about an 80% decrease, all right, of goods and services, right, that are being brought here, jobs and employers have been cutting shifts, all right. The unemployment rate is far beyond what they're saying. Trust, it is. I have constituents and colleagues and family members that are, that have got a good resume, good report, and they've been putting resumes out left and right. And you see all of these jobs that are supposedly hiring, and even some interviews that even myself, Barakatah Yahabashim Yahushua, he's giving me a good job here again. That of, going out to these interviews and you sit there and 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 interviews and nothing, no callbacks, no nothing. All right, it's just literally a facade. All right, these jobs are not hiring. All right, and things are coming. Things are becoming a lot worse than what they are saying they are. All right, now we know that this job is not hiring and things are being as bad as they are. When you look at 2019, they had this food shortage or so-called food shortage, but we know that was nothing more than a test run or a psyops. All right, these things are being controlled and done on purpose. All right, and ultimately this is how you usher in the CHIP. All right, and it's through gradualism. Okay, so that's ultimately what's happening. This place is being dismantled piece by piece, chiefly by Yahweh Bahashim Yahushua. All right, so as you see all these things happen, you see these truckers, they're complaining. These jobs are being laid off. These tariffs are hitting. All right, and because it hasn't fully hit here yet, most people aren't really understanding or paying attention to what's happening. All right, this is Ecclesiastes 12:3. In the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few, and those that look out the windows be darkened. Right, the keepers of the house, more talking about the financial world, the financial sector. All right, in New York, all right, the stock market, the movers and shakers, the financiers, the chief, or should I say the keepers of the house. All right, and it says the grinding shall cease, meaning what? When we say that just in the world, when Jake is out here and he's grinding, it's talking about getting money. It's talking about jobs. Employment is ceasing, right? Because there are few, it says. And they that look out the windows be darkened, right? Because people that are looking into America and looking at the future, they're seeing that it's darkened, all right? They see no foreseeable future here in Babylon anymore. People are starting to see that this place is over with. I just did a lesson just yesterday, and you had a bunch of Edomites. They were all singing the national anthem with their hands over their hearts, but they take a flag and they drop it in this pit of fire that they're all surrounded about. Basically symbolically saying that, America's over and it's done. And it's just symbolic that they throw the American flag in the fire because that's exactly how America's going to go out in flames. All right, so people are starting to see and take notice, chiefly you Edomites. Jake, y'all ain't quite got it yet. All right, and it goes on to say, and the doors shall be shut in the streets when the sound of the grinding is low, right? All of these businesses are getting ready to shut and are shutting down. You've seen it. You hear it in the news what these ladies are talking about. All these different restaurants are now, their customer rates are dwindling. All right, people aren't going to the Chipotles and all of these different fast food restaurants that used to be full of people. All right, they're starting to cease. Everything here in Babylon is starting to cease. And it says the sound of the grinding is low, and he shall rise up at the voice of a bird, and the daughters of music are brought low, right? Because the sound of the grinding, the hustle and bustle of the moving and the shaking, the traffic and trade, all right, that's starting to cease. As you can see, they showed here in the video, they have this stockyard that's full of just empty trailers, empty trucks here. No one's moving. All right, there's no traffic and trade that's being, that's commencing. All right, so these tariffs are hitting hard. Barakatah Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, he is taking this place down. But you know what? You were warned about this. All right, this ain't nothing new. So when you start crying, it's going to fall on deaf ears. You were warned. All right, starting with our head apostles on down for the 30 or 40 years. All right, myself and other brothers here that have been here way longer than I have been preaching this. all right, for years now that these times were coming, all right, and now we're coming into it. All right, and as I said, 2019, those things were just test runs and psyops to see how the people are going to react, because ultimately this is how you bring in the CHIP. This is how you bring in that fourth industrial revolution. Okay, all this and the dollar dwindling, all this is tied together, all right, because we're switching over to a new system, all right, but they have to put the squeeze on the people first, okay? In order for them to erect their enterprise in Babylon must cease, all right? And the people being in great fear will move in desperation and haste, all right? To survive, only to be funneled into this path of destruction, all right, via the CHIP, all right? And with AI also at the forefront of this thing, because they're using AI, you know, in a lot of these different states, you know, to drive these rigs and these freights, all right, to what ultimately what? They cut the labor cost even more. All right, so they're going to use this AI system as a means of relief and ultimately as a means of peace and safety. Okay, it's prepared and it's coming. All right, we're here pretty much. It's like I had my phone ringing in the middle of my lesson here. Of course, ain't nothing but Satan. All right, so ultimately this man, all right, and his enterprise is already prepared. Ultimately is what's happening here and what we're seeing. Right, and this man is getting ready to make a move. All right, but still most can't see it just yet because, well, let's get it. This is 2nd Ezra 16 and 21. Behold, victuals shall be so good cheap upon the earth that they shall think themselves to be in a good case, right? Because things are still cheap out here. You can still go to the store. You can still go to McDonald's. You can still go to these different places. And because a lot of labor costs, a lot of labor shortages, you know, you have a lot of deals and value deals on these different restaurants, right? Because now these different companies are having to cut their prices, right, just to stay afloat. All right. So it says, behold, victuals shall be so good cheap upon the earth that they shall think themselves to be in a good case. But even then shall evils grow upon the earth. Sword, famine, and great confusion. Right. Great confusion because it's happening right now. And Jake doesn't see it. All right. He doesn't fully understand it until it's too late. And this is going to chiefly affect you Negroes, you Latinos, and you so-called Native Indians the most, man. Matter of fact, let me grab this in Ezekiel 4 and 16. Moreover, he said unto me, Son of man, behold, I will break the staff of bread in Jerusalem. And Jerusalem is a people before it was a place. And they shall eat their bread with weight and with care. And they shall drink water by measure and with astonishment. Right. Right. So that's what's happening. The Lord is breaking the food and supply chain here. All right. Chiefly for you Negroes. All right. That don't want to listen. All right. We know the wicked are already going to be the wicked. All right. And their destruction. All right. Was preordained, all right, before the foundations of the earth. But we're talking about chiefly you Negroes out here. Okay, the Lord is breaking the staff of bread here, and you will eat your food by weight, drink your water by measure. Meaning, you know, you're gonna have, you know, you may take maybe just a few sips a day. Okay, because it's getting ready to be what ultimately scarcity out here, right? Of food. Okay, these are the times that we're in right now, and it says, they may want bread and water and be astonished with another and consume away for their iniquity. Right, to pine away, to starve to death. Do you know how painful it is to starve to death, to literally watch your body eat itself? This is what's coming. But you've been warned. You have been warned. Okay? Starting with our apostles on down, you have been warned that these times are coming. All right? And these tariffs are getting ready to hit in a way like never before. And Americans are going to feel it. And chiefly those that are at the bottom. You Jakes, you Negroes, you so-called Latinos that are used to just getting by, getting it out of the mud. You're finna be the mud. Okay, in the times that we're coming into. All right? So this is all ultimately going back to what? Because you're not listening, you're not hearkening on to the Lord. All right? You're not being obedient, you're not returning unto the Lord, you're not repenting. So the Lord is going to put the pressure on you. All right? He's going to break a number of you. Okay? But for the elect, all right, the men that are obedient, all right, that have returned, that have repented, all right, that have that contrite spirit, that contrite heart, those of us that are sighing and crying for all the abominations that are done here in the midst thereof, Ezekiel 9 and 4, right? This is Isaiah 65 and 13. This is the last precept. Therefore, thus saith the Lord, behold, my servants shall eat, but ye shall be hungry. Behold, my servants shall drink, but ye shall be thirsty. Behold, my servants shall rejoice, but ye shall be ashamed. You see? And that's the times that we're in right now. Okay? The Lord is going to take care of his elect, those that hearken. The Lord is not gonna forsake his men. All right? Those that have been calling on the names of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, those that have repented. All right? This sword, this famine is not set for them, but it's set for the disobedient and for the wicked. All right? So we're here. Okay? So I just want to do this quick hit lesson, Abaratazah. It was edifying unto those who receive it. And once again, I want to say, giving all honors and praises to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Akakwadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Shalom.